Good evening and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Once again, we are talking all things BOYLE sports, Irish Greyhound Derby. As you can see, I'm joined, as always, by Tommy Lyons. I'm not allowed to call him the Exiled One anymore. Damien was slagging me off. Damien Lonergan's also with us. Because Kevin wasn't available, we had to stick with Damien. So we'll get straight into it. Tommy, the Derby on Saturday night. There was a bit of a debate last week about who would be favoured or who should be favoured. I think Cheap Sandwiches put that argument to rest.
Cheap sandwiches should be odds on to win the derby now. At 6 to 4, 13 to 8, a great price. I was even chatting to somebody yesterday saying I could not believe the prices yesterday morning. And the response kind of I was getting was, well, maybe things can happen and all that. You don't bet on anything based on things can happen. You bet on what you're seeing in front of your eyes. And then you add in the draw with Proper Eris in 5 with him in 6 next week, and the only other YG left in the competition being a pretty moderate starter. I mean, it all points to cheap sandwiches, and he was. I mean, again, if you're not there, it's always difficult to gauge the track and how it's running. It seems that it slowed down quite a bit. If it didn't, cheap sandwiches should be trees on because it seemed to slow down quite a bit straight after that race. Maybe there was a deluge or there was wind picked up because I know it was a desperate weekend and weather-wise. So he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant, and the others that qualified, it was just more hard work made them. All the heats looked a lot more hard work, and maybe you tell us, or maybe Damien tells us if he was there on Saturday night. Was it down to conditions, or was it just the cheap sandwiches is in a different league?
Yeah, Damien wasn't allowed. He hasn't been allowed up yet this derby at all. Damien, there you are. Tommy's critical of your work. 6 to 4, too big a price about cheap sandwiches. You're probably not disagreeing with him, but at the same time, you have to go where the market sends you.
Yeah, look, his run Saturday night was like it was unreal. Do you know what it reminded me of was remember the Derby final when Logiel Blake missed the kick and he still just roared into the corner, just lapped the dogs into the corner. That's what he done Saturday night. I just keep going back to his. I know the Dundalk International. He won it coming from off the pace. Look, he's like all fast starters. You're going thinking if he misses, when he misses, and he don't look. Generally, he doesn't miss it, but like he has the early pace to take him to the front. I can't remember like apart from what was Diamond, too many dogs being this price before the semi-finals. You know what I mean? There'd be always bigger prices. Proper Eris is the biggest loser in the book. That's playing a part too, Tommy. You know, so we kind of have to. You don't want to be laying any more of Proper Eris. That's a price that it's a price that we're stay away from. We don't want to lay him on a level on a level book, Tommy. Definitely there would be more of a difference. You know what I mean? But it's just a cowardly price. Proper Eris.
Yeah, it just goes to show. You're right, though. I understand that side, but like it goes to show that a lot of firms are just following in because they haven't all laid Proper Eris. Like Proper Eris is a terrible price at 7 to 2, considering the draw next Saturday night. But I understand
He'll be that to win the heat Saturday night. He'll be that to win the heat Saturday night.
easily because the chances of him getting across. I mean, I watched all his races in England from the ones that were available on video, from when he was drawn, say 4 and out, and he just wants to go left. Sometimes violently, sometimes not so violently, but still markedly wants to go left. And does he really break well enough to clear the ones inside him? Like that is a race. Like if you were going to say maybe Cheap Sandwiches could get knocked out next week if you were a bookmaker or a layer looking for a result, you'd say, well, there's 6 early patients in that heat next Saturday night and he can't do anything wrong. But the one thing we did talk about last week, highlighted it, was the pace that, like you touched on there a second ago, Damien, the pace that Chief Ham is thrown into the bend, but also the way he is running those first 2 bends. My God, he's driving that first and second bend. I mean, he's got upsides, good dogs at the bend, and just driving away around them. Last week was more impressive than Saturday night, but Saturday night was still impressive. I mean, and then to go and do the clock as well. I know there's loads of reasons to think it's very hard to be runner up in a derby and come back, having contested an English derby, having, as you said, been extremely workmanlike in the Dundalk International, and come back again and produce in a derby over 6 rounds. And he has been very good. He's built up towards being superb in round 3, the same in the quarterfinals, superb again. You can say, can he continue to do it? But I would say Proper Eris is a dog that's had a lot of racing. And I'd be more concerned about him producing over the next 2 weeks than I would be about Cheap Sandwiches producing over the next 2 weekends. So,
Look, put Cheap Sandwiches in the semi final. He's a trees on shot at least. Put Proper Eris in their semi-final. He's 2s on. Put Ballymac Stood in the other semi-final. I think I'd say he's nearly go off favourite. Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't be as
Yeah,
short.
but Balmax Stood is a really interesting dog in terms of frame in this derby, and it must be difficult for you and for the lads who were compiling the odds for this, because Balmax Stood was terrible the other night, and he was brilliant the previous week, and he goes 347, 337, 353 or whatever it is. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get. He's not the profile of a dog that you'll say, I think he's going to win a derby, because he hasn't got that consistency. I was hoping that when he produced that big run in round three, that he would carry it on to the quarterfinals, and he didn't. He didn't, and it's not like, yeah, he got a bit of up and barely.
I thought he ran okay now tonight for a dog where he was. You know what I mean? I thought he ran well.
But in what context? Like, in the context of winning the derby, or in the context of just running a good race, if you know what I mean? And that's not trying to be harsh on the dog. I'm trying to. I'm only thinking about who's going to win the derby, or what way this derby will shape up. I know, and we've talked about him. He has an X factor. He has this incredible ability. He has, and if he wins a derby, he's a dog we can get excited about, because we know what could be down the line, because there is better to come. But my concerns, like, I couldn't back him at single figures to win a derby now, because I haven't a clue what he'll do next week. Will he pop out and produce a big run? Will he miss the kick and be in all sorts of trouble? I mean, we know he's always a danger. As long as he's in that derby, he's a danger to every greyhound in it. But, like, somebody said to me yesterday in the Curragh that the second semi-final, if it was the last race on a Saturday night, you might head home early to avoid the traffic. Now, that's a little bit harsh, but you can understand it. Do you know what I mean? You can understand it. It doesn't look like a derby semi-final. So that's hence the reason I say that the first semi-final is loaded, but Cheap Sandwich is still an odds-on chance to win that. To me, he has to be an odds-on chance to win the derby.
I might come back in here. Well done, lads. A couple of things to mention there. Obviously, Cheap Sandwiches, I agree. He's got a great draw. It is very much the loaded heat, as you've said. Ballymac Stood is arguably the worst drawn dog of the 12 greyhounds in the semi-finals. He's got flying starters on his inside, Oreo Ollie, Barefoot and Song. He's got Single on Curly with a 333 sitting there in the third round on his shoulder. He's got Proper RS edging inwards and capable of taking a flyer. And then he's got Cheap Sandwiches to contend with as well. It's a very, very, very tricky draw. I think he ran a remarkable race on Saturday night. The 353 isn't respective. I think himself and Shanahy Boomer just did each other once, twice in a matter of strides, and all of a sudden the race is gone on them. Then he checks off the opening corner. He is out of the derby at the second bend. He's fifth of five, and he has Blast Off Heffa, who is very strong in front of him, and he still had Shanahy Boomer to get around as well. He dispatches Shanahy Boomer pretty quickly, probably carrying a bit more momentum than that rival into the back straight. But then to go past Blast Off Heffa as quickly and as easily as he did before containing that rival, I thought it was a huge run. But I would be very concerned for his chances in the semi-final. If he doesn't do a 337 again, which we know he is capable of doing, he's going to find himself in a world of pain. The fact of the matter is, if you look at the semi-final, we shouldn't get to the semi-final yet. We're going to go through the heats, but Proper RS and Cheap Sandwiches, their fastest sectional in this derby is 343 for both of them. Each and every single one of the others has gone faster. Single on Curly 333, Ballymac Stood 337, Barefoot and Song 338, and Oreo Ollie 340 twice. Like, it's something to consider. Now, we know the Cheap Sandwiches from that 340 into the corner is probably going as fast as any dog in the derby. I think Ballymac Stood is pretty hard from that point too. His issue is the first three strides. Single on Curly missed it the other night, and he actually ran well to qualify. He's going to need to do his 333 or 3. Certainly sub 340 from trap 4. It's an interesting affair. We'll get to it. Back to that opening heat on Saturday night. Cheap Sandwiches was simply too good for them. 29-27. You asked me the question. I didn't see any difference in the conditions. You know, and I couldn't understand how he was so much faster than Magical Mag, who was absolutely Paul perfect in the second heat, and he's 6 lengths faster. Like, he's 42 spots faster than her. He's behind her to the winning line. Like, he's doing a 345, she does a 340, yet he does a 1703, 1720. But what is so notable about Cheap Sandwiches tonight is he comes home in 1224. For me, that's a sign of a dog that's probably been left undercooked and he's coming through the derby. And I know it's easy, like we say it too often, probably. And someone has said to me, like, you know, obviously you don't train greyhounds. You think you can send these dogs in undercooked. And listen, look at his card. Like he's doing 29.80, 29. Yeah, he did the 29.87 on August 2nd. Now I think he did slightly faster in the week that's not on the card here. I think he did 29.70 odd, 29.53, 29.49, 29.34, and 29.27 the other evening in wet, windy, not typical conditions. The fact that he's doing a 17.03, like it looked for all the world like a 16.90 type run into the third bend, suggests that the track was running that little bit back. And that's no surprise. Like gale force breeze at times. But it just looks like a dog who really, really is coming to this derby. Just like it looks like perfect timing. Now, you'd like to see him doing even just the same run the next night and then hopefully peak again for the derby final. I personally wouldn't like to be laying him at 6-4. I agree with what you said. If he wasn't the second, he would be 3 on. And listen, he's going to be 4-7, 4-6 in this contest. We'll probably, proper ARS will edge inwards. There's no question about it. He may get room to edge inwards. He's also a dog, if you go back over his profile. A shrewd judge said it to me after racing Saturday night. He says, there's been nights where he's been badly drawn. And yes, it was in UK and probably lesser contests, but he's often found a way and he's often shot from boxes. I wouldn't completely dismiss him from trap five. I was originally dismissing him. I just thought there was too much early speed for him to clear. But you know what? If he took a good start, I don't think there's any of the inside four will be racing up his inside. Like I think they'll hold their pitch against them. But we showed the other night he's not afraid to throw his shoulder or throw his weight about. Like he's a good hardy racer of a dog. So I wouldn't be completely dismissing him. And if he did get trap one or two in the final, you can be absolutely sure that the UK money would come for him. So
Trap one, not from trap one, you
keep
wouldn't.
Sam to be a bit bigger. Maybe not trap one. I'd sooner keep him in 2 or 3 myself. But it's a fascinating contest. But as regards the opening heat again here on Saturday night, Droopy's Deploy came through for second spot. Callaway 5 and Unanimous Leo. Like they had a right ding dong off the last bend for home. They probably wanted to be the opposite side of each other. They were bumping all the way up to the line. Unanimous Leo lost out by the shortest of short heads. But the fact that Sheep Sandwiches raced up to Unanimous Leo and went around him as easily as he did, a professional early pace greyhound, a dog. This is the first competition he hasn't got to the final. Like I thought it was a hell of a run by Sheep Sandwiches.
Probably his run, the best run we've seen him do in Shelburne. Would anyone have a disagreement with that? Because like he obviously
This
didn't take,
year, this
he
year,
didn't
I'd
fly,
say.
he didn't fly out. Like come here, he was within an inch of maybe going up and winning the Derby like last year. Like if he wasn't too far off Baco going to the corner, and that was Baco's diamond at his best. Do you know what I mean? So no, look, he was absolutely. I said he looked like Local Blake for anything. Ran past dogs going to the bend and just drove it like, oh Jesus, like he talk about a dog chasing it, he's chasing it for his life. The way he cut that corner, it's a sure sign he's given everything. He's given everything, and like that's like as I know Tommy's thinking that he should be a bit shorter. Like it's 6-4 semi-final of a derby. It is pretty short, but it's just the liability is the same with proper ARS. We were laying him 33s, 25s, thinking UK dog coming over. No, and give him zero respect. And
And it's funny because Sheep Sandwiches has been a dog of serious liabilities in the English Derby and the Irish Derby last year. People were looking for an alternative to Bocco's, and the same in the English Derby this year. He was serious liabilities, wasn't he?
he was, yeah. And sure, look, only for maybe the word was released a bit earlier about Bach was being a non-runner. Cheap sandwiches probably would be a good result for us, but sure, look,
Yeah.
this anti-post betting for you kind of
You
came
know,
up.
you noticed market trends before
Ha-
Buck was declared a non-runner, is what you're saying.
yes,
Yeah.
pants pulled down. I was in late town, got a call. Oh, close that market quick. Bang, following day, cheap sandwich. Sure, look,
You,
that's
ra-
what
you, you
that's.
rang me soon after. Have you heard anything? No, but I will. And
No,
we quickly confirmed the news, shall we say?
yeah,
Just behind him, Tommy Callaway 5 and Droopy's Deploy are both big prices to win the Derby at this stage. Hard to disagree, but they are in the right heat, so it would be no surprise if either made the final.
Yeah, I said last week I thought maybe Droopy's Deploy just had the profile of a dog that could qualify for a final. Has the ability, probably isn't going to get involved in too many races at this level. Do you know what I mean? Like at the front end where he might be in trouble or whatever. Did get a little bit of trouble, I think, at the first bend. I actually backed him the other night to without the favour, and I think I was lucky. I'll be honest about it. I think I was lucky. I don't think I think because of the bump between Callaway 5 and Unanimous Leo, I think he kind of picked up the pieces a little bit. He's not. he's better than he's shown Droopy Supply. He's better than
Yeah.
this. He's better than finishing second doing 29.76 in terms of raw ability. He's a good bit better than that. He could sneak into a final, but if he does,
There used to be a flying start in him once every 2 or 3 races. It's not happening at the moment. I know
no,
Robert Gleeson would be praying that it will happen at some point during this derby,
next
because
week.
we know how fast he is and how capable he is. But
Yeah.
unless he finds the trapping boots, as you said, it'll all happen in front of him.
And that's exactly, and that's sometimes that's what you need to just qualify for a final. Is things to happen in front of you, so
Yeah.
you can pick up the pieces when you have a raw ability. I've been impressed with Callaway 5 in this derby. He's still a likely race Arthur can improve. I've been impressed with him. He look at he's only won one heat. Did he win first round heat? I think shown lovely early pace, and he's running against decent dogs and potential to improve again. But like Chief Sandwiches was different level. I'd say, like Damien said, that was his best run in Shelburne Park. It might have been that or for me his third round effort. That
Mm.
was him back to me. The third round effort was him back to his best, and this was on a par with it. I mean, they were two savage runs for Chief Sandwiches. You can worry and say, like, I say he should be odds on. That doesn't mean he's a certainty to win the derby. Far
No.
from it. Like that's not the way betting works. But I think he should be an odds on chance based on what we've seen so far and based on the draw for the semi final and based on the caliber of greyhounds that are in the semi final. I mean, it's
You're,
not a
you're, you're
vintage
you're in a
derby.
position you're in a position where this year's derby, very much in contrast to last year's derby, where there's a lot of trappy types in it, and all of a sudden Cheap Sandwiches does a 347 in the final, and something does a 333. All of a sudden he could be 2 lengths down into the back straight or into the
Oh,
open corner, and
he's yeah.
that's where the potential lies for an upset, because those dogs weren't there last year. It just, for every night, it looked like Bacchus Diamond Cheap Sandwiches were going to go around first and second if they were taking each other on, or that Cheap Sandwiches go around the zone in any other heat.
Which is like the thing is that there are two wide seas left, himself and Droopy Deploy. Droopy Deploy is going to need a bit of luck, right, to get into the final. He can, but he's going to need a little bit of luck. Glengar Silence is the middle seed, the only middle seed left in the competition. So you have three seeds, and two of them don't have early pace. He'd nearly be wishing that they both qualify. It wouldn't matter whether he was in 5 or 6 then Cheap
Yeah,
Sandwiches. But
yeah,
you're right. He can miss the kick, and something can get a run. We'll talk about the other heats in a minute, but I mean, based on what we've seen so far, he's the winner of the derby and waiting. It's not that simple. It's never been that simple. But he's going to be odds on. He's going to be odds on Saturday night, and if he does qualify, he'll probably be odds on for the derby final.
yeah. We'll move on to the second heat. Magical Mag, Damien. There was humming and hawing about the prices for this all week. In the end, she went off favourite, and the punters were again 100% correct. She is such a professional. The one box doesn't seem to be an issue for her. It does seem to be an issue for one or two other dogs, but she absolutely winged it. To the eye, it looked faster than 340. That may be due to the fact that she did drift off. She didn't look like she was losing any momentum. I was surprised it was 340. Maybe that's down to conditions, whatnot. 17:20, 29:69. To the eye, it looked faster, and that's why I was surprised with the time.
Look, every year it's hard to know what bitch is going to take off. And you know what? Lucky Jubilee was last year. Magical Mag definitely is.
She's the top bitch now, isn't she? The sole bitch left.
Yeah, the queen of the dirt. She's the queen of the derby, like, and she's just, you could set your watch by her at the moment, couldn't you? Like, you know what she's going to do every night. Um, she's going to be the one that they're going to have to all aim at in the second semi-final when we come to it. Though. But she was flawless the other night.
You
Um,
have people at this stage who are just literally rolling up on her every week.
yeah, like she keeps doing it. Like, she's doing it. She's probably the more like she. Chief Sandwiches. He's not trapping fast. This one is just doing it every night, isn't she? Like, she's just the one you can set your watch by. The money did come for in the end when she was actually a strong 6-4 at the off. I thought it was actually going to go shorter when looking at the scorer coming in. It was all Magical Mag, Magical Mag, Magical Mag. I thought Balmax Stood ran a mighty race here, because put other dogs in his position going to the bend, they're out of the derby, so that does show us that he's not a one trick pony. He's definitely not a one trick pony. I thought before the derby, himself and Magic Major, two outstanding pups. They're kind of still, they're still maybe. I know he's in Magic Major is in the plate, but he showed it in the plate he's definitely a massive force for next year. But I thought he ran a massive race. It wouldn't. He's if he'd give me a bet in the Derby, something a dark horse, it definitely would be Ballymac Stood. I know he's single figures now, but if he gets to Derby final, he's not going to be 8-1 like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, it was the run of a dog who and the beauty is he's learning all the time. Problem is he's going to learn enough. Like he's got a fortnight. That's it, and he may only have a few days if he doesn't trap on Saturday night. But there's no question about him. He'd be certainly one of the dogs, one of the top two, three, or four dogs for next year. You'd be taking out of the Derby, and of course the Derby plays as well. There might be another dog across in the UK that's flying at the moment for Pacquiao Foil. We might even get to that later on. But Magical Mag, Tommy, this was just proper racing. Just flash out,
She's
do everything right. Put the rivals to the sword right from the start. Happy Jet is enjoying the fact that he's now in these boxes 3 or 4 times running, whereas he had been up and trip, down and trip, around and trip, different tracks. I think he's improved his trapping for the fact that he's been in the same boxes 3 or 4 nights in a row now. And I thought he was a million to one to go up second in this contest. As it was, he went around second, and Blast Off Heifer went around third. I thought that was 2 million to one. The two of them to go around second and third. But as it was, Happy Jet ran second, ran a big race. We've spoken about Ballymac Stood, huge run, but in catching the eye, he also showed where his fallibilities are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to be the one that everybody hates on this podcast all the time because I wasn't really widely taken by this heat. I like Magical Mag. I love the way she traps. She should get herself out of trouble a lot of nights. But I saw fallibility in her the other night as the Derby heats up. Um, Happy Jet was able to get to a little length for going to the bend and actually checked badly at the bend and lost a lot of ground, an awful lot of ground actually, which he probably shouldn't have. But um, it kind of told me that even if she qualifies for a Derby final and if Cheap Sandwiches qualifies, she's a help to him because she can outbreak the ones on the inside. And actually, I don't think she's motoring into the bend. I don't know what the section is to the turn, but the way he'll be going, she'd actually be a beautiful buffer for him in the final. So I'd say connections of Cheap Sandwiches will be hoping that the two of them will qualify, Magical Mag and him, because she's a beautiful buffer to it. I'm not sure that I've seen enough to think that she can do what will be required to win a Derby final, but she's a terrific little bitch. I mean, you couldn't ask for better to be popping out and doing good early sections. I like the run of Happy Jet. I don't think there's a Derby winner in there. He's definitely improving. The only thing, the real positive to take from him was the early pace. What he had done in sectional wise, even because he normally, you don't expect to turn as close as he did, or he would have turned had he not checked up badly. He was going to turn second. Ballymac Stood. Talked about him already. He's frustrating because he's so brilliant, but he's still so inexperienced that he could turn into the most reliable trapper of all time next year and be a clear Derby favourite in 2026. That's the type of dog he is. That's the type of ability he has, and I suspect like you only get a pop at a Derby, an Irish Derby once a year, and you've got to take your chance. And I suspect that if the Derby was in 3 months' time, he could be a strong favourite for it, if you know what I mean. Just given a bit more time, a bit more experience. Now, obviously, you could apply that to a lot of them. The reason I was concerned about the 29.69 here as well, Ian, and you brought up Magical Major, Damien brought up Magical Major a minute ago. Magical Major would have done 29.20.
Yeah, no question.
Absolutely no question. It was a savage run.
Monster.
It wasn't
He's
perfect.
a monster of a greyhound, but yeah.
He would have done 29.20 at least had he done things at all right. And, I mean, going into the bend, I'm out of traps. I'm thinking, well, he can't win. Going to the first bend, I'm thinking he probably can't qualify because he's going to find trouble here the way where he's tracking and the whole lot. And then he showed that burst of pace down the back, the 29.42, and I'm thinking, whoa, this track must be fast tonight. And then I see Cheap Sandwich do 29.27, and I go, oh, this track is definitely in good shape. And then it just starts to go backwards. 29.69 is that heat, 29.78 the following heat, 29.69 again, Ballyhooly Bruno. So it's either the track went back all of a sudden, and you were there, and I respect the fact that you were thinking that you didn't see a considerable change in the conditions. It makes me think that what we're seeing is right. Magic Major is exceptionally fast. Cheap Challenge is exceptionally fast relative to everything else left in the Derby at the moment. And I think things just keep, for me, enough things are adding up to point to that. Magic Mag is a terrific bitch in great form, and actually somebody I would respect a lot in their opinion on greyhound racing. rang me last week to say he had just backed Magical Mag to win the Derby because of the profile before the Derby and the way there have been results coming up in the Derby, that sort of stuff. And he thought, she's so uncomplicated, she just does things right. And she does. And hopefully she'll qualify for the final for her own sake, not for the cheap sandwiches thing that I said a minute ago, but for her own sake because she's a terrific bitch. But I thought just limitations are just beginning to be exposed a little bit. They're very harsh. As I said, yeah, I'm always seems to be the villain in this piece, but that's to me being cold about it. Ian, that's what I'm seeing.
In essence, if you're saying her greatest strength is consistency, that's not enough. It's
Yes,
just that
yes,
it's that little extra element, that little touch
yeah,
of
yeah.
fairy dust, a little bit of
It's not
brilliance is
Susie
what she's
Sapphire.
missing.
It's not Susie Sapphire. And what I'm seeing, and that's I think even
At the
myself.
same time,
I think I'm
she's still favoured to win the semi-final of a derby.
if
So she could
I
well be there in final night, and given her trapping ability, she'd have to be respected. But like you, I'd be expecting something to just outgun her, basically have too much
no,
energy.
I just thought Ian the other night, Ian, for the first time in this derby, I thought, do you know what? Something can get by her going to the bend. Even though I know she can do a little bit faster, she has done half a length faster in the early section, and it will be difficult. But something exceptional, like a cheap sandwich, something exceptional, like potentially a Ballymac Stood if he does things right, something like that, explosive. If Proper Eris qualifies and gets a draw, can do it as well because Proper Eris does show not a brilliant trapper, but shows a lot of pace into the bend. So like, yeah, I'm. It's, God, if I was
She's
watching this,
also
if I own
just
greyhounds,
just to play devil's advocate, she's also a smaller bitch, windy in conditions and stuff. Like, maybe she's just been held up that little bit by a headwind or something like that. Do you know what I mean? She wouldn't be what you'd call powering through the breeze, whereas Happy Jet, big 78 pounder, like you know what I mean? It's a
well,
different scenario. I don't know. That's just being devil's advocate. It's not something I spotted as I said.
Look at if I owned a greyhound, I was in the Derby contender, and I was watching this podcast in an evening time. I'd mute every time I came on. I just so I wouldn't even want to hear it.
I'm sure many do.
Move along. I'm 100% certain of it. I mean, I haven't been beaten up yet in any of these tracks,
Yeah.
but
You do
it's
know,
down the
folks,
line, I'm
you can
sure.
watch this at double time speed, right? This can be done in
Yeah.
no time, you know. Damien, anything to add? Magical Mag, how is she in the anti-post book?
She's well supported. Like you know, what I mean, she's good, a good, strong, healthy blue figure. But she's got look. She's the one she could lead. She could lead in. She could lead up any of these dogs. You know what I mean? If there is someone to lead cheap sandwiches, it's going to be her doing everything right. I have to come back to Run Happy. I got this dog all wrong. I thought that he was just
Happy Jet.
a happy Jet. Sorry.
That Run Happy's a good dog. He could be third in the derby, you know that.
But he's running. He's run. Like I say, he's given Len Morrissey and the owners like a dream so far. Do you know what I mean? I thought he was a nice 550 dog. You know, he's ran over 575, but he's able to play senior hurdle, and you can say here like he's mixing with the big boys, and look another run on there in the Derby final. And
He's got a kind draw the next night.
Yeah.
There's every chance this fella could just hold his position into the opening corner. He could turn prominent again. And it's a case of trying to knock him out of the frame rather than trying to find his way into the frame. Like if he traps on terms, he could easily turn second or third. And then, as you say, you're already in the qualifying positions. It's up to something else to come and pick you up. So I'd be respectful of Happy Jet's chance. I think there is a chance he could be in the Derby final.
Yeah, and he's running. He's running. Pat Buckley has this fella running to the best of his ability. Like, you know, he's taken off during this derby, and another one to add to the list that Damien got wrong.
Yeah, and yet you have
long list,
and yet you have 33 or 40 to one outside of the party, is it? We'll move on to Heat 3 and Proper Heiress, Tommy. I haven't fully got to grips with him. Like the fact that I know him and I've seen so much of him in the UK stands to me, and it stands to everyone else that's backing him, because if you take out his run, actually, you know what, his first round run was good, and then his brilliant third round run, it hasn't been overly flashy in the other two nights. Now, the one night where he was left in front, he probably did get bogged down. It probably was track conditions. It was wet and sludgy and whatnot. But arguably, three or four dogs showed more pace than him here on Saturday night, and yet he finds a way to win without being probably at his best. You have to love the way he drove that opening corner. You have to really feel for Check for Cash and for Carl Ramsbottom, the cashbacks into it, because for all the world, he looked like he was a length and a half clear into the opening corner. And somehow Proper Heiress found the guts of a length in those last 10 strides into the bend and managed to just shove him out of the way. just a lovely way to make your move. It was the deciding factor. He still had to work hard because Glengar Silent showed all sorts of pace. Now, he got a lovely seam around the opening two bends. There's no question about it. He was last into the opening bend. Single on Curly didn't take his flyer. Another little bit of luck that went proper ARS's way. But when it came down to it, he found a way to drive around in front, and he's still there. And he's one of those dogs where, there's a habit to winning. And this fellow's unbeaten in the Derby. And like, that's not a fluke.
No, it's not. Well, it is a fluke because of the second round, but it's not a fluke in some ways. Yeah. Like I think his best asset is that first bend. I think he really drives into it. He's not like um not a flying trapper, and particularly seemingly out of trap one for some reason. Like he doesn't want to be out wide, and he doesn't want to be in trap one. I suppose two is probably his trap, which is a bit strange for an inside seed. But apart from that, he runs a very good inside line. Like Glengar Silent did get a good run, but showed a lot of pace. But I definitely agree with you, Ian, and this is what would concern me in the proper era stakes. Well, two things. Obviously, the draw next week we could talk about after a while. But the second thing is that exactly what you said. Dogs outpaced them at points in this race. Showed more pace than him at points in it. He like it's not it's not the
Is
strongest.
there an argument, having seen him go toe to toe with Cheap Sandwiches the previous evening? He does like a battle. I'd say he's a dog that finds plenty when dogs.
You could be right because, in fairness to him, even though like Island, I would have thought would have stayed pretty well, and I thought he comfortably held him in the end. With
Yeah.
it having looked like a proper race, the ones maybe that's it. Ian. Maybe he's a dog that there's no kink in him that I've ever seen in what he's in how he's racing. But maybe he's doing enough to be in front and kind of doesn't want
Oh,
anything
I
else.
don't mean the kinkies. I don't mean
No, no, no. I know,
in a
no, no,
bad
no. But
sense.
I'm
I
saying,
mean there's just a real drive, a determination to
mm,
it.
yeah, like if he just just points where he's getting outpaced, and maybe that's like if you're in front and controlling the race like he was the other night, that's fine. But if you're behind and trying to chase it, I wonder would it be a different story? If he does it, if he breaks like that, and Magical Mag is out in front of him and Cheap Sandwiches is out in front of him, like where does he get it? He was brilliant against Cheap Sandwiches. Was it last week or the week before? He like dictated again. I don't know. He's like had he been drawn inside somewhere, one or two in the semi-finals, you'd say, well, yeah, his price is right. You know what I mean? He's 7-2, 3-1 chance. That's what he is to win the Derby. But he just has. It seems to be for this dog. It seems to be a question to be answered every week with the draw. And he kind of got away with it out of trap one twice. He kind of got away with it a little bit the other night because he's getting into the bend easily. If Check for Cash had come across, he could be checking out wide to be out of the competition. So he's getting away with it a little bit. But maybe that's what you want. Again, he's a dog. I think for the sake of the Derby, I kind of want him in the final.
Yeah.
I want him in the final. I like the fact that there's two things about that. One, that he's a UK raider. We do want him to come over more often and be competitive. And also, like he has brilliant ability. So if he wins a Derby, we can say, well, got a dog, a really good, top ability. We don't want a messy Derby and an ordinary dog, and a dog that turned up at the Winter Derby Festival and has a 12-1 chance in an Open 550. Like, that's not what you want. You want a proper Derby, a proper dog. And saying the Derby was brilliant last year was like set the bar so high with Bacchus Diamond being what he is. Um, Proper Eris has that ability. So I think he would be. I think he's an important Derby finalist. I'm not certain he'll get there. He's an important Derby finalist, and I hope he gets there for the sake of the Derby.
Yeah. Damien, are you waking up in cold sweats thinking about proper airs flashing from trap five and getting around that corner and all of a sudden going into the Derby final at even money or 6-4, and you're looking at that red number attached to it? I assume he's your worst result.
He is, yeah, he is, and it's and it's all the was held kept holding him at the price as well. You know, we weren't exactly running for cover, as he would other dogs, and just thought that UK dogs would want to give him zero respect he's getting, and egg on face. I still don't know how check for Caransbad that didn't go around in front. I still don't know how it happened. I stop it and run the menu thinking Proper is going to turn second. Next thing he's in front down the back straight. Yeah, I have to say, like, I'm a big fan of Glengar Silent, but he ran a massive race. Like, he was last going to the bend. I know he got a nice run, but he tore strips out of these dogs down into the third bend. it looked like he got clipped from behind, I think, by four, and which caused him to check up badly.
It was probably his own fault because he did edge off a little bit, probably into four's line.
There was just, but like I think that cost him 2 lengths, like if not more, and he still rallied up the home straight. I was talking to Tom was there Saturday night. I think I met him in, and I was talking to him yesterday. Like he's floating on air. He's after winning. He's a course and Derby in the bag. He'd love to win this. He's even get to the final. Now he was. I rang him any night where he'd been beaten 3-0, so he didn't give me much time. Do you know what I mean? He kind of basically
Thanks,
told me
David.
to.
Cheers.
He
Thanks for that.
basically told me to f off, but no. But I thought he ran a blinder there, an absolute blinder.
Yeah.
Serious gears.
To use an overly used cliche, anything he achieves this year is a bonus.
Yeah.
We've seen this dog grow up. Like when he first hit the track, I remember talking to Pat before his first race. He said this dog shouldn't be anywhere near this competition. He is so backward, so raw, so green, and you could see it in his first 4 or 5 races. It's only the other night where he took a lovely line around the opening 2 bends. Yes, the seam opened up, but the same dog 6 weeks ago that found a way to check off or to run into drugs or something. Like he's learning on the job, but you can see he's learning pretty rapidly. And his dam was some professional. He's obviously out of one of the great sires of all time. There's a lot pointing to this dog being a superstar next year. I'd love to see him find those trapping boots. I suspect it probably will come that he'll be able to go a bit better than he is at the moment. But in terms of an engine, he's as fast as the dog. He's as fast as any dog in the Derby.
Oh, without doubt, without doubt, without doubt. And I'm actually talking more about him than the proper errors, but you have to give him proper errors. You have to give him the plaudits. You know what I mean? He's as I said, he's finding a way to win, even when he's not flashing, doing everything right. He's still finding a way to win, which is like it's like a good hurling team or soccer team. They grind out a win. When they shouldn't win, they win, and it's
You're
class.
too young. You're too young to remember this demo. Do you know who he reminds me of, Tommy? Seve Ballesteros, right? Wouldn't hit too many fairways, but he'd always find a way to scramble and get back up in front. And like that's what he hasn't.
It's class. It's class.
Bar his third round victory.
Yeah,
And
that's
his
what it
opening
is.
round victory was like that was just listen, he expected him to win the opening round as he did. That's fine. But bar his third round success, like he's had to work hard. He's had to grind it out. He's had to take his chances when they came rather than like it's as you said, Damo. It's a sign of class. It's a sign of a dog that just wants to win. He's chasing it into the ground as well.
Yeah, like look, come here. You get to where you are for bluffing. Proper RS has a bit of class about him. Do you know what I mean? That's the way it is.
I learned it all from you, Damo. Back in third was Singing on Curly, another one of the youngsters. He potentially was going to be a headache for proper ARS, but after being so professional the previous 2 starts, he missed it on this occasion. He does a relatively slow 3:48 compared to his 3:33 the previous week. We knew he couldn't do that. Like it was virtually impossible he could repeat the previous week's start. Like it was so fast, so electric, but he still had to dig in and. A bit like his sire, Dearjet Sydney, he was a type of dog, he'd run through a wall for you. This fellow found a way again, and he's still there, Tommy. And given the ability to do that 3:33, given the fact that he's so young and so lightly raced, just wouldn't be surprised if he went another round. Like he's in the tough
Terrible,
heat.
terrible draw. He's a
But
terrible draw, but
that
there were definitely
3:33 that's what you're holding on
yeah.
hope. Yeah.
Well, there were definitely 3 points of that during that race the other night that I thought he had no chance of qualifying, and he didn't he first of all he didn't break as well as he can. I thought, well, he's inexperienced, he's not going to qualify. First bend you're going, yeah, you're really not positioning yourself well. The 2 dogs came outside him, and the dog came up inside him, going down to third bend. You're thinking, well, this is definitely he's going to get squeezed up. You've seen it a million times. Go back 4 or 5 lengths, finish last, and say, well, you know what? He was a promising dog in the Derby. How he qualified, now there was a little bit of trouble on the outside between Check for Cash and Phoenix from Memphis. I think on the outside of Glengar Silent, or maybe Magical Sapphires involved. At the third bend, and I kind of let him back our fourth bend and just let him back into position. But like I think he ran a remarkable race to qualify. It's only a short head from Magical Sapphire, who again was desperately lucky, got all sorts of trouble, and is showing all types of pace. But
Kevin
I,
was quick. Kevin was quick to point out that Singing on Curly swung wide off the last bend, and it made all the difference because it just held up Magical Mag for that stride and a half, where she was arriving, and he just got into her line and that was enough for him to hold on. Now, as it was, he still had to dig in, get to the line to hold her, which is a
He
fair.
did. Well, he did. But like, if ever you want an education for a greyhound that has very little experience, that's an education. Now, I tell you what, the education better show next week because of the draw he has in the semi-finals. But like that he'd have learned a lot from that, and I'd say he won't like the experience of being behind dogs and in among dogs. He might say, "Geez, I better get out in front again and do my 333s, kind of do get out quickly and just avoid that sort of stuff." So I think he learned quite a bit from it. And I'm like you, Ian, it just wouldn't fall down if he did a 333 even from the middle and actually took part in this heat. I think he's very, very, very much underestimated in this derby. I think the run in the second round, I think it was underestimated because
Yeah.
the time was it 50 something, 58, 59, I can't remember.
Well, he did
But it was
52.
like
He
he
did
did a run that
52 in
I
the
thought
third round. He did 72 in the second round.
the second one, I was thinking like when it was the second round run, wasn't the third round run. I think he was underestimated for it. I thought because the clock was slow, I thought it was a lot better than that. And I think he's a proper dog. It's just how proper he is. We'll find out on Saturday night.
Yeah. Damo, where is Single on Curly in the betting? I assume he's bigger price than he was prior to the draw, shall we say?
Yeah, look, he was one of the ones we pushed. He's one of the ones that will be definitely shouting for final night if he does get there. He's a very very healthy result. He's one of the dogs. Ian, was he withdrawn out of
He was withdrawn out
the
of the final in Enniscorthy.
Enniscorthy? Yeah, yeah. Like
I think there was
he's a
a, I think
20.
there was a, I think there was a bit of a sniffle or something in the kennel.
Yeah. So he's come into this Derby raw. Like he's 25. He's probably could be a small bit bigger. But look, as he's another dog. I said the younger dogs this year, they're really starting. It is late in the Derby, but we're really taking notice of these younger dogs. I think the future looks bright.
I tell you what, we
Um,
could have a cracking Easter Cup next year. That's where
yes,
all these
if
dogs are
ever
turning back with a bit more experience, maturity.
touch wood, if everything stays, if they all
Yeah.
stay sound and healthy, we've a cracking year to look forward to next
No,
year.
I think yeah, I think last year when we came into Derby last year, if you remember rightly, I think um the young dogs had begun to establish themselves. And we knew we were going to have a new season winner of the Derby. We just knew
Yeah, but
that.
it was so much. It
They
was so much
hadn't
late. It was so much later in the year. They had that time.
but they hadn't done that this year. So it's
Yeah.
actually through the Derby that we've learned more about the likes of Glengar Silence and Single on Curly and these other dogs, Ballymac Stood and all that. It's been much later that we've had to learn about them through the Derby more than anticipating. We'd hoped that maybe Magic and Major might be that type as well, but again, just a little bit too much too soon for him. But great to see that those type of young dogs have come through in the competition. And I say, if it was another month down the line, it'd be a different derby, a very different derby.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. We'll move on to the last of the four heats, and in many ways, this was the least satisfactory of the three heats because it turned into a very much a three-dog affair, very sharpish. The outside of the field, the Laddie Da, Rural Pest, and Kusain Pickles, their chances were gone in the opening corner. Barefoot and Song was left tight room. She checked off into the Laddie Da, who got the worst of it nearly. Rural Pest and Kusain Pickles both getting held up. As it was, Oreo Wally had driven into the opening corner. He showed a real nice dash, and I've said it a couple of times to Kevin. This is a greyhound who's going to win an absolute bucket full of races, in his career because he's just so good into the opening bend. He just seems a professional. Just a really nice type. But as it was, Ballyhooly Bruno turned close enough. I think he was 2.5 lengths down off the second bend, and you can see that he's slowly progressed through the competition. I would say Tom was struggling to get him into the competition, but he's come on each and every night. And I know one or two men that have backed him in the previous two rounds that didn't back him at this occasion. They're left kicking themselves because off the second bend, there probably only was going to be one winner. And Ballyhooly Bruno, just a thoroughly likable greyhound, comes through to land the spoils, takes it up around the last two bends, goes on to win a couple of lengths. I would suggest a few months ago he'd have won 5 lengths from where he took it up, but he's still only coming back into himself. 29.69. Second was Oreo Wally, Barefoot and Song. The other three just never got the chance to play their part, Damien.
Look, talking about getting a heat wrong. This heat, arseways I got it. The three that I fancied were fourth, fifth, and sixth. Ballyhooly Henry's clocks just
Bruno.
Ballyhooly Bruno's clocks. Sorry, they're 30 spots back on what he was last year. So I was discounting him. I said maybe he just maybe, as I said, he might have some little thing there that Tom's nursing at her. The reason he was off the track for so long, and this is why he was off the track for so long. He ran him an absolute blinder the other night. Orioli, I didn't think he'd lead. Didn't think he'd lead. I could have picked two more dogs, 2 or 3 dogs there that go up in front of him. Rural Press was very, very disappointing. Missed the kick, didn't do anything afterwards.
Yeah, I said it the other night briefly to Kevin. I saw a lot of shoulders. I think about 4 or 5 seconds before the traps actually opened, I think a number of them, or one of them, went at him. Kevin suggested Barefoot Song is a devil first, that she may have led them all to do it, and that could well be the case. I think they all had to reset, and as a result, there was sort of a disjointed start. Rural Pest, who is such a good trapper at most of the time, he walked out, and his race was done after a stride.
He was very, I was disappointed with him afterwards too. Like I thought he might, because it wasn't the strongest of heats. I thought he might run on a small, but he just never at the races at all. Barefoot and Song, he's the outsider. He's going to be the outsider of the party. He's run. She's run very, very well, but like, I was disappointed with Oriwala. I thought when he was in front, the way he was been coming home, I thought he'll stay there because Ballyhooly Bruno wasn't finishing as he used to. But look, I think the one certainly taking out of this race, the laddie that is winning Derby final night. Don't know what race, don't know what distance, but we know he's going to turn up Derby final night, and he's going to, and not say go out on a high, but he'll end his Derby campaign on a high.
Yeah, let's hope he is back. He didn't do an awful lot in behind afterwards. I just hope he's not feeling something. But yeah, the laddie da, what a performer he's been. Tommy, Ballyhooly Bruno, Tom O'Neill down your part of the world.
Yeah, look, Tom O'Neill wouldn't even bother coming to the Derby with the dog unless he thought he was good enough to qualify deep into it. He's had a Derby runner up. He has the right type of dog in Ballyhooly Bruno to be a Derby finalist. Winning the Derby is a different story. But I think, like, there's nothing wrong with what we've been saying over the last number of weeks about the dog, and pretty much what Damien echoed there a minute ago, saying that the dog hasn't been doing the same sort of stuff that we've seen him do, time wise or even just sharpness wise. I thought he was a winner out of the second bend just because of where he was and Orioli being in front. It's a good display, and it's a lovely turn of pace, and it's a brave line, silly line, maybe a brave line up along the inside of the dog going into the third bend. He was good enough to take it, and he won well. Barefoot Song is like little pups in the Derby semi-finalist. I don't know. Kusain Pickles just got a bit of trouble. Rural Pest, it's just a dog I haven't warmed to. I just haven't seen it. Flashes of it. That's what it is with him, I'm afraid. And the laddie that I think I know you were disagreeing with me last week. I thought the writing was on the wall for something like this. He hasn't got, as Aidan O'Brien would talk about with horses, tactical speed. He seems to have lots of tactical speed to me, and that's what's getting him in trouble. I mean, I thought when he ran into two cul-de-sacs in an area around, and that to me said, I think the way I said it at the time was that he was if you show me the race and not told me what was in it and no audio, I'd have said the pup to finish second will be a good dog when he learns how to track, like, because unfortunately that's when you're getting a bit older and just hasn't got the pace. He's been like. That's his fifth. This is his fifth derby. Fifth derby, 3 Irish derbies and 2 English derbies. He's been in. He's won an English derby. He's been to an Irish derby final. He's like a dog of a lifetime for most people. He'd be the one dog that the best dog they've ever had or could ever have. Liam Dowling's fortunate enough to have loads of them, but he's been terrific. But I think the writing was on the wall. I wouldn't be so keen in terms of thinking about Damien could be right about Derby final. I just wouldn't be so keen. I'm like you, Ian. I think I would like to see a bit more even from the back. I know the race is gone, but you'd like to see a little bit more from him to get involved. Or I was actually, when they're off camera, I was kind of wondering would he or Rural Pest come back into the picture first. That sort of way to see what might be making a bit of ground from the back
He finished 3.5 lengths behind Rural Pest in last.
Yeah, that's yeah. Once he's all right, I don't care if we see him again or not. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he'll probably be a great success at Stud as well. He'll probably be likely will be. Actually, the one thing I did notice, and I'm not so sure we talk about that much, but the range of and the kind of breadth of sires in the Derby semi-final it's good. I'd say with the likes of good Cody's and Grangeview tends to, and Magical Mag still being there. Packet Foils had a
Run
good
Happy,
derby.
Jacob Tashadelic, as you say,
Yeah,
good Cody. Like there's might be one or two Sydneys there as well.
And come here,
Hugh Sydney's all right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the likes of having Jack Kennelly getting a Derby semi-finalist too. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't got taken up the full time letters a long time. He now he finds himself with a Derby semi-finalist. Wouldn't be great for not only his confidence, but for other people coming up. You had Scott Phelan, now you have Jack Kennelly. So once you have the dog at the end of the lead, they're all well capable of doing it.
yeah. No, listen, it's no surprise to see all 12 dogs are trained by trainers. Like that's the way the game has gone. You know what I mean? The day of the owner, excuse me, the day of the owner trainer. And I know Liam Dowling's there, but now if he's describing himself as an owner trainer now, I think we're all goosed. So you know what I mean? One of the great operations. It's crunch time. Make tracks to Shelburne Park this Saturday, September 20th, as our final six are decided in the 2025 BOYLE Sports Irish Greyhound Derby. Have the stadium experience and soak up the atmosphere in our bars, restaurants and grandstand. Stay for the party with Pop Gods live after racing. Sing and dance to your favourite 80s and 90s pop classics. Plan your night now on www.shelburneparkgreyhoundstadium.ie. We've got two wonderful semi-finals to look forward to. Certainly the first one is much more stacked than the second. Oreo Ollie in one, Barefoot on Song in two. Both huge prices, Damien, around 20 to 1 the pair. Ballymac Stood, Sing Along Curly, Proper RS and Cheap Sandwiches. We've already touched upon it. Cheap Sandwiches will be odds on. What way do you see it going, Damien?
Well, you could take any of the runners maybe from the first semi-final and put them into second semi-final. It'd be half the price. It's just the fact that if Cheap Sandwiches taken a lot of percentage out of it, Proper RS, and then it's double. You have Balmax Stood, so it's 4-5 to 1. I just initially I thought Proper RS is going to move in slightly. Cheap Sandwiches is going to have the whole outside of Shelburne Park to himself, and it's going to be one-way traffic. But Lishi went up 4-5, went 8 to 11. He's going I think probably he's going to go off 4-7. I think 4-7. He's not going to go off any bigger than any higher than 4-6. I think he's going to be closer to 1-2 than 4-6 come tonight. I think Proper RS you might get 4-1 to win the heat. The rest of them, then I can't see many. It's hard to fancy the likes of O'Reilly with Barefoot Song. They would say she could a fast starter could maybe upset him. Balmax Stood would be the one that's going to be running on. Single on Curly, he says, going to have to produce a VQA to get involved. I think here, but I think it's going to be simple enough. Proper RS move in slightly. He's a big tank. He'll might cause a bit of trouble. And Cheap Sandwiches has a solo on the outside.
Yeah, I think it's one of those races, Tommy, where there's 5 dogs need a very fast start, and then you have Cheap Sandwiches on the outside. Whereas, don't get me wrong, he can't afford to miss it. But even if he just comes away, does his 3:43, you can still see him right there on the opening corner. And the way he runs that opening bend, he could well be in front by the second bend. And I think that's the most likely scenario. But there is a chance for something in the middle, or indeed Proper RS. I know he's a long way out. Something taking a flight, and that could just change the complexion of the race somewhat. But Cheap Sandwiches, there's less that can go wrong for him than any of the others.
Yeah, possibly so. Like it's a funny one. It's a funny one to decide who lead at the line the first time. I'm not sure. If it's Ballymac Stood, game on. There's a race on. If it's Ballymac Stood, because we know he can be explosive. If it's Barefoot and Song, you think that or Oreo Ollie, you think that Cheap Sandwiches can come around them handy enough. If you know what I mean, not handy enough, just because of how brilliant he is.
Yeah.
If it's Sing Along Curly, then Proper RS is in a whole lot of trouble trying to get a run. There's so many little things. I just can't. I hope it is, but I can't imagine how it'll be a trouble-free run to the first bend or run around the first bend. Now, the one thing I would say about Cheap Sandwiches, if you're trying to crab him, you're trying to say, he's too short of 8 to 11, 4 to 6, whatever he's going to be. He came up against Bacchus Diamond numerous times last year and this year. And somehow they managed to have clean races every time. And Bacchus Diamond sometimes was inside him, Bacchus Diamond sometimes was outside him. And yes, somehow he managed to to steer a clear course. He's a remarkable dog in that sense, in the way he tracks, in the ability he has. There was no love for cheap sandwiches whatsoever to start the competition. He was out at 16 to 1, I think, Damien. Was he around about 16 or 20 to 1?
He was, yeah, he wasn't friendless.
And he was completely friendless. And like we highlighted in around the time of the first round. But he's built himself up to deserve to be an odds-on chance in this. And he's the one, Ian, where you think he'll run his race regardless. It's not, look, he's not entirely bomb-proof. But somehow he manages, like you say about Proper Eris, managing to win races. Cheap Sandwich managed to find relatively trouble-free passages. And that brilliance that he has should get him to the front. I think, I don't know, I think Cheap Sandwich will win. I'd be reasonably confident of that. I have no idea what will finish second. Absolutely none.
Yeah,
Zero.
It's not an easy race to call. Like outside of Chief Sandwiches, who is the one you're going to pick, just in terms of ease. Like it's just the case of, rather than getting too
Where does Proper Eris turn?
try and see things that aren't there. Just go with Cheap Sandwiches and then guess what's going to be second. Oh. Yeah, there you go. Getting insight into the preview mind of from both Ian Fortune and Tommy Lyons. Yeah, it is what it is. It's wide open in terms of outside of the favourites. You know, a fast start here or a slow start there can make such a difference in this race because room will be at a premium up the middle and the inside of the track, no question about it. And even though Oreo, Ollie and Barefoot and Song are big prices, one fast start, they could just find themselves in a lovely position because there's every chance of traffic in the middle of the track, no question about it. We'll move to the second heat, and honestly, I don't know what to make of it. I suppose it's obvious that Magical Mag will probably be favoured just given how popular she has proven over recent weeks, but just the 29.69, it does grate a little bit on me. I honestly thought it was faster. Like if I told you, look at those two races and tell you that Ballymac Bruno clocked an identical 29.69 to Magical Mag, you'd go, there's no chance. She's doing a 29.40, he's doing a 29.70. Just even to look at them. And yet there they are, both on a 29.69. You can make obvious cases for them. Callaway 5 has been running hard. Glengar Silent. If he gets a run around the first two bends, he's a big player, a huge player, because I'm not sure any of these could live with him. If he was a length behind him off the second bend, he's winning the race. And then you have Droopy's Deploy, who has yet to really go to a corner, but like he's shown all sorts of pace from the sort of halfway home. He's really staying on stoutly, and he's like, I know he's won a heat, but he's sneaking through rather than sort of going, look at me, I'm doing things right here. Even Happy Jet is well drawn on the fence. If he continues to trap like he has been, he's improved his trapping all the way through this derby. He does a 346 the other night. But as Tommy said, he's moving from that 346 into the opening corner, something that I wasn't sure was ever there, but it's certainly in his pedigree. Run Happy out of Bobsleigh Jet. There's plenty of early speed in there. So listen, Magical Mag will probably get the nod. I may well go for Glengar Silent. To be honest, I haven't decided. But this is a minefield, Damien.
Normally, when you get to the latter end of the Derby, the heats price themselves. You've seen them 4 times, and you think they fall into place. 3/4 of an hour was looking at this going, you know what? Because like you've couple of these out here that they're massive prices in a week, the week of the 2 semi-finals. Like they're all capable of doing 29.50s. If Callaway 5 can flash out, it's not going to be the biggest surprise in the world if he was to maybe go up in front here. It wouldn't be the only possibility of that to happen. There's so many different scenarios that can happen in this race. Magical Mag is so consistent. Do you think she's the one that's going to...
Callaway 5 was the fastest dog. Like, he was the first to hit the ground against Cheap Sandwiches unanimous Leo the other night. Like, he just couldn't hold him into the corner, which is fair enough. There's no unanimous Leo on Cheap Sandwiches here in terms of early speed.
That's what I'm saying. So he could lead. Like the Callaway team now are going for the 3rd Derby final in a row with Pro-Am, Kennegar, no Callaway 5, so they're having a good run at the Derby the last few years, you could say.
It's costing a fortune in petrol though. They're coming a long way up every week, and in fairness, they're most nights.
You say to any of the Murphy brothers that they don't mind, they'll keep coming. But you'd think that Magical Mag is going to be the hare here. She's going to be the pace setter. It's what can toe in behind. She's going to have to be a fair bit clear of Dengar Silence. The Ballyhooly Bruno is coming back to himself. So Droopy Supply is staying on pretty strong as well, you know. So she's going to have
what price did you put her in at?
to 5 to 4.
And happy to lay her at that, I assume.
Happy to, I can see her. We're not laying her, so she will be going bigger.
Or even bigger come Saturday.
She will, definitely, but they haven't come for anything yet to say she wants a push. You know, that's that like normally the betting was up within 15 minutes. You know,
where you've made a mistake.
Yeah, like they're fast in school. You're corrected straight away. But they haven't come for anything against her. Do you know, so to warrant pushing her out. But I can see it will have to push her out though if you do want to get her. Well, we've 5 to 4 magical Glengar side and 2 to 1, 6 to 1 deploy, and then it's double figures the rest. I just don't. I think we're going to have a surprise here. It wouldn't surprise. Like it wouldn't. If any of the ones with double figures wins, it's not going to surprise me. I think we'll probably just we've no chance to win the first semi-final. We might have a chance of getting if you win the second semi-final.
Yeah, well, I think he's already hinted it there, Tommy. I don't think there would be a surprise winner in this race. There's no scenario where you really struggle to name a dog here. Like they can all have a chance. There's an avenue to success for each and every one of these. Yeah, albeit some have a stronger chance than others.
Well, if Angela Maggie's going to win the Derby, she's got to win this heat and got to win it impressively because the makeup is great. You've got two dogs inside that aren't specialist breakers, and you've got two dogs inside who haven't got the early pace to get up inside her at the bend. If you want to swap Callaway 5 and herself, you might potentially have a different race. If you want to take Oreo Wally from the other heat and put him in one, you've got a different race. You know, you like this is a makeup. She has to be favoured in one way. But I don't want to back her either now at 5 to 4 because I think actually Glengar's side will take a hell of a lot of beating here. The reason being, if Callaway 5 wasn't in the race or hadn't the early pace that he has, it would obviously be a lot easier. But I think Droopy's deploy shouldn't be a factor to Glengar's side. Not that if you look at sections, you'd say there wouldn't be much between them. If Droopy's deploy breaks, it's a different race altogether for Glengar's side. But I think he's capable of outdoing Droopy's deploy early, putting himself in a position to launch an attack at the lead, which should be, in my mind, Magical Mag. And he's a powerful dog. I think he will win at Glengar Silent. But like this is a Derby semi-final, right? And I know it doesn't mean a huge amount, but it says something all the same. If you look at the 5 lines of form for each of the dogs, there's an A2 line of form there, and 4 of the dogs have AO form. You know, you don't normally see that in the Derby semi-final. You know, it's highlighted as some of their best form. That's the purpose of it, or else their most recent form if they're that lightly raced. So it does say something. It does say something. Now I'll tell you, if the connection to Magical Mag, she's been so good through the Derby. They've got to be delighted with that draw. They have to be. But I just think that she'll get away in front and Glengar is starting to get a run at her and prove the stronger.
Yeah. I think I'm probably going down a similar road to you, Tommy. And the more I look at it, the more I suspect I'll end up tipping Glengar Silent. Again, I'm not sure where he'll get the run, but I have a feeling he will get the run. I think
he can turn her.
I think the scenario you've pointed out there, him probably heading Droopy's deploy into the opening corner, and then probably find himself sort of a close fourth into the back straight. I think that's close enough. You know what I mean? I'm not sure Magical Mag will into the back straight 4 clear here or anything like it. You know, I'd be surprised if she was 2.5 clear. And, you know, she is going to be vulnerable if certainly a Glengar Silence within 3 lengths of her off that second bend because he is so fast down the back straight. And the likelihood is he's improving still. You know, I don't think we've hit his ceiling by any stretch of imagination. So, yeah, it's a fascinating contest. 2 wonderful semi-finals, although Tommy said some bad things about the second semi-finals. Shame on you, Tommy. Always the enemy. Listen, there's a classic winner in there. There's a Category 1 winner in the UK. There's Glengar Silent, who really should be amongst the top 3 or 4 in the betting for next year's derbies, be it Ireland and England. You know, Magical Mag is favourite. You know, she's an absolute metronome. She's just ping, do what you have to do. Unbelievable. Happy Jet.
Damien,
I
say
think
it.
he's only really finding himself. Happy Jet. Like he's only in August 23. As we said, Ballyhooly Bruno's a classic winner. Droopy Supply won the Category 1 over in Newcastle. And Callaway 5 is very talented. So I'm not going to say too much about it. I think if the right three go through, and I'm not sure there's a wrong three in this contest, I think they'll play a part in the Derby final. It
You
might
should
not be
be
that
Ian.
straightforward.
You
There'll be
should
big
you should be
prizes.
in the presidential race. The
Yeah,
presidential race is the place for you.
What can I say? What can I say?
he's everybody's friend.
I'm about the only one. I'm about the only one that hasn't gone for it. I know I'd give Damo my vote. No question about it. Oh, I'd definitely give Damo my vote. Gentlemen, a couple of other things I want to touch upon. You just mentioned it there. Magical Major, very impressive in the Derby plate. He's still not the finished article and he's far from it. But I'll tell you something. It'd be no surprise to me this time next year we're talking about Magical Major at even money to win the Derby before the semi-finals. I think he is everything. I think when he puts it all together, I think we're going to see something very special from him, Tommy.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, his time was it time the fastest. I'm not even sure if it was, but but the performance was outstanding. It's definitely a 29-20, maybe sub 29-20 effort. Um, Green as grass, and you can see why he got knocked out of a Derby. And actually, I thought in that round,
Although he
first
showed a
round,
lot more track craft, let's say, in his latest victory than he had done. I think it's coming. I think he's learned a lot.
yeah, but no, it's like it's lesser company
Yeah.
overall. It's lesser company, but yes, you're right. He is learning. He is learning, but he has to do it early. He has shown that potentially it's there, the early pace to turn in front and are very close in the very top company, which is what you want to do to win a derby. He's shown the potential for that. I'd like to see a consistency of it, but I'd like to, after this competition, him to get a break, come back next year, and we look forward to him like building up to being the consistent greyhound, a bit like what I want to see of Ballymac Stood, who actually like in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, we could be talking about him as a derby winner. So it's probably a bit early to be thinking about next year for Ballymac Stud. But
The two and
I
the
want
two of
something
them
similar from both of them.
the two of them dead heated in that open unrace stake at Sheldon
Yeah.
Park. Like it's the form is standing up. Damien, I know you haven't priced it yet, but any sort of idea what sort of price you'd be putting in Magical Major for next year's Derby?
Like he's probably going to be won't be no more than 12, 14 to 1. Because like you can't see like if Cheap Sanders wins the Derby this year, will he be coming
Yeah,
back
it's
for
not
the
back
Derby
yet.
the following year? It's not going to happen. I don't think. You know, he'll have enough done. You have Magical Major's brother, Magical Luke, over in Romford. Absolutely, he's a second coming over there. Do you know what I mean? 10, is he
Yeah.
11 from 11? Couple of
11
track
from 11, yeah.
records.
11 from 11.
Why is he being sent over for 400-meter contest? Is there a stamina issue? Maybe.
Maybe because they didn't want to take on Magical Major in the Juvenile Derby and the Derby. That's yet to be seen. But no, he looks an exceptional dog as well, and his colours are green. It's not a bad little litter. We almost mentioned Sunshine Sue, Damien. You know plenty about him. Obviously trained by Owen. He's found his trapping boots. He's running well. Got a tricky draw the next night, but he was impressive as well in the Derby plate.
He's like he's shown plenty of gears, like, isn't he? Like 29, 27 first round. Didn't do everything 100% right last week, but still, gee, he's galloping hard through the line as well, isn't he? He's going to, let's say, he's a dog who can
Well, like he's probably 2 lengths clear at the third bend. He wins 8.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he's absolutely he's hammering over that winning line. So like stamina is not an issue. I think what Magical Major 7-4. Carrick Scholes, he's just been a small bit disappointing, hasn't he?
Yeah, he ran an absolutely remarkable race to qualify the other night. Like I
Yeah,
never put him down as a dog to be coming from well off the pace to grab third and
yeah,
qualify. He got absolutely schmozzled at the opening corner. He just needs to be more consistent at boxes to put himself into race, especially if we're going to have middle seating him because he doesn't want to be out that wide at 5. But I was actually encouraged by his run the other night because I think he's more than one trick pony now. I thought he ran really strong in defeat and just keep an eye. I think he's probably the main threat to Magical Major.
yes,
Sunshine Sue is a very tricky draw the next night.
yeah. I would have been far as a 4 next week. Definitely wants
Yeah.
in close to defence. But no, he's shown his confidence. His confidence is brewing, and he's shown a lot of gears.
Last heat won by Ballymac Axel. He's really strong. Great to see him winning from Mert. It was a race that was really set up from. You knew he was going to turn relatively close. Hopes Teddy was going to take them along. That's exactly how it happened. Axel took him around the third and fourth bends. Went on to win by 5.5. He's very, very strong, and he's going to have his good draw. He's certainly a player in the competition. But I think we all agree that Magical Major is the one to beat in the Derby plate. Certainly, if the draw is in his favour, he seems to be getting to grips with things week on week. Again, it'd be no surprise to me on Derby final night if he went faster than the Derby winner. That's often been the case with the Derby plate to the Derby final. Sometimes they're taking a lesser company to get a better chance in the early yards to run, and that could well be the case this year. Before we go, the last thing we're going to mention, I know there's plenty of good racing on around the country, but it's Derby time. I do want to mention that tomorrow morning it'll be written that Broadstrand Sid has been retired. Um, Tommy, I know you were particularly a huge fan. You saw him in the flesh down at Cork. We're both in agreement that his track record at Dundalk is up there with one of the best track records in the country. Just a stunningly, stunningly fast greyhound. It's sad that we won't see him again, but he picked up a small injury in Dundalk. They could have got him back. He wouldn't be back for the Laurels. And what do? You wait for a one-off race at the Winter Racing Festival, or try and wait for next year's Dundalk again? Obviously, little niggles. They took a toe off last year, so they felt the time is right, and he's bred in the purple, and with the most awesome and incredible speed. Like, he just looks a natural stud dog, doesn't he?
He definitely does. His like, I get the feeling that his track record runs in Dundalk were done without being 100%. And it felt like with his career, unfortunately, it was always it was always hard work to get him to the track. It was always so much care needed involved to get him back right, and you had to be careful with him and whatever else. And they've done a brilliant job. They've done a
I,
brilliant job. And you say, as you said, Dean, it just didn't happen this year in the final in Dundalk, but incredibly fast. I think it was his first sprint. Was he doing track record or sometimes for in the first time in open company? It was just he just yeah. I hope to God that he imparts that ability to progeny, because he was remarkably fast.
I've never, ever, ever seen a dog to run a bend so hard, and he literally taking the paint off the rail. Like, normally dogs on the outside are flying and they don't lose stride because they get a run at the bend. He's been stuck to the fence and never broke stride. I'm phenomenal. I was thinking how he's not going in over this rail at the corner. He rail is that tight. He was. I used to love watching him. Like, he never ever lost stride. It's not normally when they're so close to rail, they kind of steady themselves and to get a run at it. But that's where he was making his time, was being so close to the rail and not breaking stride. He was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, and the only dog to inflict a defeat on Bocco's Diamond in Ireland in 2024. And not only that, he led Bocco's Diamond on three different occasions. Like, that's just like,
Theory.
think about that. You know what I mean? A greyhound that could lead that Bocco's Diamond from 2024, and he led him three times. Truly remarkable greyhound. Sad we didn't see much more of him, but like, even this year he came back, and to run as well as he did, when you, as you say, Tommy, you just felt he was under a bit of a cloud. He wasn't running the opening
Mm.
bend as fluently. He still did 2070
Yeah,
in Dundalk this
yeah.
year, and 2077. And like, this isn't the same Broadstrand Sid we saw last
Mm.
year. He raced how many times? 21 times. He won 14 of them, and he was second four times. Just an absolutely incredible greyhound, and of course, owned by the same men who responsible for a certain Droopy Sydney, his own sire. He's out of Droopy's Alice Broadstrand Sid, who's, bred in the purple herself, going back to Droopy's Blossom. Um, Phenomenal dam lines and whatnot. So, best of luck to Broadstrand Sid. It's been emotional. A truly, truly exceptional greyhound. I think it's a good way to finish off proceedings here today, gentlemen. We look forward to the semi-finals of the BOYLE Sports Irish Greyhound Derby at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. We have a band live after racing, so if you can get there. There was a few sore heads last Sunday morning, not just gone the previous week when they had a Cole playing at Shelbourne Park. Plenty of regulars stayed around and had a good old night. If you can get to Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, well worth the visit. They have 80s and 90s rock gods are in action after racing. We might even
You'll be in your
tempt
prime.
Damien. We might
You'll
even
be in
tempt
your
Damien up.
prime. You'll be in your element. You'll actually be in your
Mm.
element.
Hey, well, I'm a
The
child of
Macarena.
I was born in the
Long
late
he doesn't
70s,
start
but I'm a
singing.
child of the 80s. Gentlemen, a pleasure as always. We look forward to the Derby action at the weekend. But that's it. My thanks again to Tommy Lyons and, of course, to Damien Lonergan, who took valuable time out of his very, very busy schedule. That's it from us. We'll see you next time. God bless.
This podcast was brought to you by Greyhound Racing Ireland.